Thank you for joining me today. Today we'll be discussing student progress reports. Look at the following. What are SPRs? When are SPRs due? Where can I find SPRs on the LMS? Which learners require SPRs? So what are SPRs? SPRs are Student Progress Report, and it provides information about a student's learning progress over the last 3 months. The report captures a student's benchmark movement, class attendance data, progress towards CLB outcomes, and next steps to move forward. Information from these reports is used to monitor and report on program outcomes. Therefore, it is very important that teachers ensure SPRs are accurate, comprehensive, grammatical, and on time. SPR entries should make specific reference to the student's current proficiency based on evaluation of evidence collected over the reporting quarter, such as CLB benchmark levels. Achievements, such as CLB skills and competencies that were successfully assessed in the quarter. And next steps, such as skills, task-based outcomes, and the Link Home Study curriculum to be reviewed and assessed in the next quarter. So when are SPRs due? The reporting quarters are January to March, and SPRs are due on April 15th of that reporting period. April to June, and SPRs are due on July 15th. July to September, and SPRs are due on October 15th. October to December, and SPRs are due on January 15th. Please note that SPRs are due before midnight on the 15th of each reporting period. How will you know if an SPR, when it is an SPR reporting period? You will get an email from the help desk informing you that SPRs are due at this time. Also, there's a notice put in the teacher's corner about SPRs in the reporting period that is due now. Are SPRs compensated? Instructors are compensated for 1 hour for each SPR submitted on time. If not submitted on time, SPRs are still required and not compensated. Please contact the help desk for a form to complete if not submitted on time, as they can no longer be entered into the LMS. Which learners do I complete SPRs for? Teachers complete SPRs in the LMS between the 1st and 15th of the SPR reporting period, or SPR month, for all students who qualify. Teachers check the progress reports section of the LMS to see which students require an SPR. SPRs are required for transferred students previously with another LHS teacher after 3 months in the new class. SPRs are not required for students who have been in the program for less than 6 months since enrollment. SPRs are not required for students who withdraw from the program before the SPR deadline. Teachers should contact the help desk before the SPR period ends with any questions regarding which students require an SPR. So where can you find SPRs on the LMS? You log into the LMS and you scroll down to the bottom left-hand corner. And here you will see a section labeled Progress Reports. Under Progress Reports, you have SPR status. So you click here to see which learners require SPRs. I choose the year, the reporting period, and then click Get Report. The LMS will generate a report of the SPRs that are due during this reporting period. So as you will see here, you have the student's name, their join date, the referral type, and if a progress report is required or not. So for this student, Angela Maria, a report is required. And it also notes the status here on the far right-hand corner that this instructor has not begun uh, saving a draft for an SPR for this student. Here you will see that these SPRs are required for these students, and a draft has been created for this student. Here's an example of when the SPRs are submitted. You will see it on the right-hand corner, that the PR status that it says submitted. How to view your class SPR report. So click here on Class SPR Report, and it will generate a report status of the students in your class and their previous SPRs. How to submit an SPR. So I go down under Progress Reports to Report Input page and click here. Once I click here, if it's during a reporting period, if it's a non-reporting period, this box will appear. This is not a report period, and you select OK. If it's during a reporting period, it will generate a report of which students require an SPR and which students do not. Here, I can click for Malika. This learner requires an SPR, and I can click here to edit. For example, Tatiana, there is no button to edit, so no SPR is required for this student or the student. There is one required for Haliana as well. Once I click the edit button, a draft of an SPR will be generated by the LMS. And at the top, you will have the student information and reporting period. At the top, it will list the student's name, the teacher as you, if the student is online or correspondence, their reference number, and the reporting period of this SPR. You will find the assessment benchmarks at the top, their proficiency benchmarks, and current benchmarks as of now. The student status, which this one is attending, and their attendance during this SPR period. So you do not need to fill in the attendance. The LMS will automatically generate that. And for the successful classes, how many did the student have? How many did they miss? And how many total during this period could have been possible to attend? So in the middle of the page, you will have the achievements and all 4 skills during this reporting period to report on the competencies of the successful tasks accomplished during this period. At the bottom is the next steps, and these are task-based outcomes and the Link Home Study curriculum that will be reviewed and assessed in the next quarter. So how do you enter achievements into SPRs? You select the competency for each skill from this period, and more than one is allowed. So for example, I selected listening, interacting with others, and once I select this, which competency, a button to edit will also appear. And I can do this for the rest of the competencies. For speaking, I chose giving instructions, and reading, getting things done, and writing, sharing information. So once I've selected the competencies, I can also input comments for the learner's reference. So under listening, interacting with others, I made some comments because the student will read this report and see how the comments that you are giving them and as an instructor on each skill. So for example, you were able to listen to formal and informal condolences from friends and acquaintances and identify the level of formality to respond appropriately. Once I've inputted my comment, I click Save, or if I've made a mistake, I can discard it and begin again. I've also done an achievement for speaking, giving instructions. You were able to successfully give instructions on how to send a text on a cell phone, and I save it. Achievements for reading. Read the material safety data sheet of a new workplace product to identify hazardous reactions and emergency procedures, and I click Save. Achievements for writing. You, for sharing information, competency 4, you successfully wrote an essay for a college application. Good job. And I click Save. So once I've entered my benchmarks, my achievements, I might go back up to the top and see if I have any benchmark changes. The reason for this is that I would need to have 3 successful tasks in each skill before I can increase a benchmark. Optimally 4, but 3 is the minimum. So if that is the case, during this time, I can increase the benchmarks if I have a minimum of 3 successful tasks in one of or each of the skills. So if I look at the current benchmarks, they're 7 and attending. So maybe this student didn't have 3 successful tasks during this time. So I'm not going to increase the benchmark. I'm just going to make sure that that is correct. And the student is still attending. If I have a benchmark change, that means I've had 3 or 4 successful tasks in a skill. I can increase the benchmark during this time. So for example, if it was in listening, I would increase it from 7 to 8. Also, the student status is there if to continue with attending, or if they're going to transfer to another teacher, or if they've informed you of withdrawing from the program. If there's a benchmark progress, I would label it I would input it in the LMS, and I could also put, for example, this student had benchmark progress in listening and speaking during this quarter. I would note that progress and they're still attending. Or if they're going to transfer or withdraw at that time as well. Also, if I have a learner who has increased their benchmarks to all 8s, they are graduating from the program and I would withdraw them during this period. For the next steps narrative, I would outline the learning plan for the next quarter, make specific reference to skills, task-based outcomes, and LHS curriculum to be reviewed and assessed in the next quarter. Comments on attendance and homework concerns can also be added. Note, reports are shared with students. So once I enter my next steps, I either want to save it as a draft if I want to keep working on it, maybe edit it another time. I don't want to submit it this time. It still needs work. I save it as a draft. If I've completed all the steps in the SPR and I've edited it, I'm ready to submit it, then I would click Send Report. The next steps to include on your SPRs are learner-friendly language, showing evidence of a learning plan, making reference to skill building, skill using, assessment tasks for the next quarter, as well as real-world tasks should refer to the skill and the competency to be assessed, refer to the student's goals for the next quarter, as well as any homework or attendance issues in the previous quarter. You can give words of encouragement or words of advice to improve on for the next quarter and action-oriented feedback for the next quarter as well. So here is an example of a well-written SPR, please take a moment to pause this recording and read it. So I've made comments about the students' previous attendance, their homework, what they've completed in the LMS, what they will complete in the future, in the next reporting period in the LMS, and also some task-based outcomes in all 4 skills and their competencies and what we plan to do in the future in the next reporting period. So when you have entered the next steps, you've entered their benchmark changes, if any, their achievements, their next steps. If when you try to leave the site and you do not click Save Draft or Send Report, it will generate a note that says this. It says, leave site. Changes you made may not be saved. So please ensure that you either save the draft or if you're ready to finally submit it, submit it. So how do you know if the SBR has been submitted? If you look on the report status page, you will see a check mark appear on the right-hand corner and you can no longer edit it. Here, for this student, it is not submitted and it can still be edited at this time. So how can students view their SPR? For online students, once the help desk has reviewed the SBRs, they are then sent out to the student via email. The student will get an email informing them that their SPR is ready to be reviewed, and they can access it by clicking this link. And then it also says a teacher will discuss your progress report with you during your next class. For correspondence students, they will also get an email, but their email will be a bit different. It will not be a link. They will need to enter, it will ask them for their verification ID. Their verification ID is their student reference number, and you can share that with them before this time if they don't have it already, so that they can access their progress report in a timely manner. How to view previous SPRs. So if you go to Progress Reports and go all the way down to the Report Center and click here, you will have a list of students listed here, and you will click on which student that you want to view an SPR for, the year, and also the period of that time, or you can view all of them. You click Get PDF Report, and it will generate a report of all the previous SPRs, even from another instructor. If you have a student that did not have any benchmark progress in the last 2 reporting periods, then you will have what's called a flat profile. Flat profiles are defined as student with no increases to benchmarks across 2 or more SPR periods. Flat profiles can occur for a variety of reasons, and teachers may require advice regarding how to proceed. Teachers are requested to complete a flat profile report for students with flat profiles. Also, guidance is offered by the coordinator as needed to determine the next steps. So what resources do you have for learning more about SPRs? On the Student Progress Input page, you have a job aid here on the right-hand corner, and you click here and a PDF will be generated on how to complete SPRs and answers to frequently asked questions. You can find access to the exemplars for SPRs on the Google Drive by going to Instructor Training, then Exemplars and Student Progress Reports. Here you will see examples of Stage 1 and Stage 2 SPRs. How do you know when it is an SPR period? You will receive an email from the help desk and a notice is posted in the teacher corner. When can you begin submitting SPRs? From the 1st to the 15th of a reporting period. Are SPRs compensated? Yes. Instructors are paid for 1 hour for each SPR if turned in before the due date of 11:59 p.m. on the 15th. Do I still have to turn in SPRs if I miss the deadline? Yes, please contact the help desk and late SPRs are not compensated. Who is the intended audience of the SPR? Level appropriate language should be used as the students are the intended audience of the SPR. Can I copy and paste the next steps for all my students? No, each student has individualized comments and a learning plan according to their needs. Can instructors edit an SPR once it is submitted? No. Please contact the help desk if any corrections are needed. Do students get access to the reports once I submit them? No. The office staff first review and verify reports. Once reports are verified and errors corrected, students will be given access to them via email. Should I have a student conference after the reports are sent? Yes, it is a best practice to take some time during your weekly class to review reports with students and discuss the next steps for the upcoming quarter. Who has access to previous SPRs? Both instructors and learners have access to previous SPRs, even from other instructors. Can students use the report for their benchmark certification? No, student progress reports do not replace benchmark certificates when submitting a citizenship application. Be sure to contact instructor support if you have any questions regarding SPRs. Thank you.